Xbox Gamepass is one of the best deals around, but what if I told you that Game Pass could destroy your ability to enjoy games? My name is James, and today I'm going to be talking about what it's like to play video games with ADHD in 2025. If you like this video or you just want to help me out, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. ADHD is a very common and well-known developmental disorder. It's estimated that around 10% of all people have at least minor symptoms of ADHD. I'm going to be talking about 3 of those major symptoms in this video, and I'm going to talk about my own experiences with ADHD and how I feel like those symptoms come out through video games. And so the first one is the obvious one, which is difficulty regulating your attention. This is probably the most well-known trait of ADHD. I feel like the ADHD stereotype is somebody that can't pay attention and is like bouncing off the walls, which we'll talk more about that one later. But the stereotype of just not being able to pay attention to anything and constantly forgetting stuff is actually only half true. The difficulty regulating your attention actually goes in 2 directions. So you'll find yourself not being able to focus on things that you don't find particularly interesting, like doing your homework or going to church or anything of that nature. And the inverse of that is that you find yourself unable to not pay attention to things that are interesting to you. For me, as a kid, this looked like waking up extra early before school so that I could get a few extra minutes of Ocarina of Time in before I had to leave for school. It could also look like struggling to read directions or listen to instructions in games as well. If I'm having a hard time focusing on a game, it makes that game pretty hard to get into. Whereas hyperfixation can feel a lot more enjoyable when it's happening. However, it can be harmful if you end up neglecting any of your real-life responsibilities because of the game. The second symptom of ADHD that I want to talk about is hyperactivity or restlessness. So in real life, this would be like an inability or really hard time to like sit still or remain quiet if you are in a situation that you need to be quiet. In video games, I don't think it is quite as obvious. I think what it could kind of look like is in a game like Returnal, just running straight to the boss because the boss battles are exciting and you want to experience that, and just going straight there and not investing in the actual time that you need to be able to level up and actually get to where you're ready to fight the boss. It could also look like just having a hard time sticking with a specific game or a specific quest or anything of that nature as well. This need to always be doing something exciting or always be stimulated, those are both prime examples of hyperactivity in games. And we're actually going to talk more about that need for excitement and that need for stimuli later on. The third major symptom of ADHD that I want to talk about is impulsivity. And this one I feel like is pretty obvious. We don't need to go into exactly what impulsivity is in real life. It's letting those intrusive thoughts win. It's kind of doing something kind of spur the moment or anything like that. However, in video games, it does look a little bit different. It could be jumping game or jumping game modes or anything if you get to a part in the game that you don't like, or if it slows down a little bit, or you get to a part where you have to read a lot of dialogue or watch a long cutscene or anything like that. Impulsivity could cause you to abandon what you are currently trying to do in order to pursue something else. Impulsivity in video games could also be wasting your in-game currency on things that you didn't really want to buy just because you saw them and realized that you could buy them, and the in-game currency is free, so I'm just going to go ahead and buy them. And that could actually even extend to real-life money, whether with buying specific video games or even buying microtransactions in games as well. Impulsivity is not always bad. It could also be something as simple as pressing all of the buttons in a game that you're playing for the first time just to kind of see what they do, or it could be jumping off of a cliff to see if the game has fall damage, or anything of that nature. Anything where you're kind of experimenting like that, I feel like could get lumped into the category of impulsivity. And I do also think that's why starting a new game and playing something for the first time when you have ADHD can feel so good, because all of a sudden you have this entire array of stuff that you get to try for the very first time, and gathering that information and collecting it and kind of remembering it and seeing how it all fits together is really interesting to me and other people, I think, with ADHD. Additionally, this can make it hard to stick with a game for a long period of time, because naturally, the more you play a game, the fewer new experiences it's going to give you, and so it could leave you feeling like you want something fresh. I do also want to talk about cognitive patterns that are associated with ADHD. I have 3. The first cognitive pattern is time blindness. And this one seems a little bit silly, or at least it can. If you have ADHD, there is a pretty good chance that you have trouble getting places on time. It could be because you planned everything out, and then while you were getting ready to go somewhere, something stole your attention away, and you weren't able to resist giving your attention to that thing. Or it could be because when you were calculating how much time something was going to take, you forgot something and ended up it took longer, or anything of that nature. In video games, where I feel like time blindness shows up the most is when you really lock into a game. You might feel like you're playing a game for only like 30 minutes or an hour or something, and all of a sudden you look up and it's been like 4 or 5 hours. So that would be an example of time blindness. Another example could be that if you get to a slower section of the game, like where you have to grind to get to a certain level, or reading a whole lot of dialogue, you can feel like you're spending a whole lot of time doing this thing, and it might actually only be like a few minutes. It seems silly because it seems like it would be so easy to counteract. However, I really love just getting lost in video games, and this can be tough for me when I do have a job that I have to get up really early in the morning. I can't exactly just start playing a game and keep playing throughout the night. And so something that I like to do is that if I do have a set amount of time that I'm able to play a game, I like to set an alarm for when it ends, so that I know that I don't have to be constantly checking the clock or anything like that, because if you're constantly checking the clock and worrying about using too much time, it can also take away from the experience as well. And then having that alarm that you know is going to go off will also just act as an unmissable cue that this play session is over, and now I need to go to bed so that I can wake up at 3 a.m. and go to work. The next thought pattern is novelty seeking, and this one is actually pretty closely related to hyperactivity, which I talked about earlier. Novelty seeking is basically wanting every experience to feel valuable or unique. For me, this means that every single time I sit down and play a game, when I am done playing, when I get up, I want to feel like I accomplished something. Lately, I've been playing Elden Ring, and I often only have about 30 or 45 minutes to play at a time. And so I like to set these little goals for myself of like, okay, I'm going to find enough runes so that I can go up 2 levels right now, or I'm going to go and explore this area that I've never been to before, or something like that. And setting these little kind of like milestone checkpoints can help you feel like you're making progress, especially even in a huge game like Elden Ring. Part of the downside of this is that if something happens, if I only have 30 minutes to play Elden Ring, and in minute 29 I die and I lose all my runes and I'm not able to get them back, there's a pretty good chance I'm going to feel like I've just wasted that 30 or 45 minutes, and that I should have done something else with that, and that I should have done something else better with that time. And this is also when that impulsivity can kick in as well, because if I'm having, let's say I play Monday night and I'm not making progress, and I play Tuesday night and I'm not making progress, and I play Wednesday night and I'm not making progress, if this happens too many more times in a row, I'm going to feel like I'm just wasting all of this time. And so my impulsivity starts to kick in, and it makes me want to just say, screw this game. I'm going to go play something else now. The third thought pattern that I want to talk about is black and white thinking, or all or nothing thinking. This is hyperbolic thinking that essentially labels certain activities or people or groups or something as either all good or all bad. For example, if I'm sitting down to play Elden Ring and at minute 29 I lose all of my runes, I might tell myself Elden Ring is no longer fun, it will never be fun again, and you are dumb for thinking that this was a good idea. And when I say it like that, it sounds ridiculous, and we know that that's not true. It doesn't really matter if that's true or not, it just matters that I believe that in the moment. And this same feeling, this black and white thinking, can also loop back into hyperfixation, which we talked about earlier. When you're really locked into a game, you want to do all of it. You want to see everything that there is. You want to play the entire thing, whatever that may mean for you. So for me, that might mean beating the game, finishing the story, or whatever. For you, that could be getting the platinum trophy. And for somebody else, it could be beating the game on the hardest difficulty, or beating the game with every single character, or with a specific build, or anything like that. And then when you do get to a point that you have finished whatever it is that is, this black and white thinking adds value to that experience, that you were able to complete whatever you were trying to do. Therefore, this accomplishment has value and you have value. And placing that sort of value proposition on video games can be really harmful, especially when not every game is going to be for every person. And so you might be watching this video and saying, like, yeah, that's great. ADHD is really cool. But what does that have to do with Xbox Gamepass? I'm getting there. I'm going to start talking about Game Pass right now. Xbox Game Pass is a wonderfully valuable service. You can get hundreds of high-quality games with a single Netflix-like subscription. And so there's no pressure to buy games or complete games or finish games or anything like that. Microsoft tells you that you don't really need to go around buying games. We will collect a bunch of games for you, and if you pay us a little bit of money every month, you can then just keep playing all of the games. And you don't even need to finish the games, because if you try this game right here and you don't really like it, you can then just try something else, and then you can try something else, and then you can try something else, and we're never going to stop feeding you game after game after game. That's where Game Pass starts to be a little bit negative for someone with ADHD. Relating back to all of the stuff that I've already talked about in this video, that Game Pass is designed to feed off of your own impulsivity, which is heightened if you have ADHD. That you're able to try some of this game, and then try some of this game, and try some of this game, and then you're left telling yourself, like, yeah, I get to try all these different games. And it also encourages novelty seeking by always putting in your face what's new and what's available. And while that might not sound bad to somebody that doesn't have ADHD, the big problem is that you are left with all of these really shallow experiences, and you never get to feel that completion feeling. And then you're also just left unable to unsubscribe, because you've also somehow convinced yourself that all of these games that didn't really feel right away, that you're going to go back to them, and that you're going to give them another chance because, you know, you've started them. And it kind of ties back into that value proposition of that toxic value proposition that we talked about with the black and white thinking, which is that if I'm trying all these games and not really completing any of them and not producing anything of value, maybe I don't have value. And at the end of the day, Microsoft doesn't care. Xbox doesn't really care. They don't care if you finish games. They probably don't even care if you actually play the games. All they really care is that you just stay subscribed to their service. And they will keep overwhelming you with game after game after game. So that's where I was going to end this video, but it kind of got a little depressing there for a minute. I don't want you to get the wrong idea. I am not anti-Game Pass or anything like that. I love Xbox Game Pass. I think it's a really great service. However, what I want you to consider as the message of this video is that if you have ADHD and you also subscribe to Xbox Game Pass, you need to be careful about how much unregulated access to every game you have, because I don't want you to end up in a space where you just feel kind of empty and that you're just kind of wasting your time. I think that a very normal way to play games is to, go on Game Pass and find a game that you want to play and download it and play it, and then move on to the next game and download a game and play it. Unfortunately, ADHD makes interacting with Game Pass in that way very, very difficult. And that's what inspired me to make this video. And I think that's all that I have for today. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. In the comments, please let me know what else you would like to see a video or two about. And until next time, thanks for watching.